Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm at Walmart and I need to get a few things, so we're gonna go inside and then I have something kind of special planned for today. So buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go. Okay, I've made it home. I put on something a little bit more comfortable and now I can tell you what's going on. I'm excited. We're gonna be trying something out today and it's something that was inspired by my friends Toni and Charles. I recently was chatting with them about their adventures that they are currently on, and they mentioned that they had something that they never thought they could put into their rig, and then they kind of looked at it and were like, ooh, we found a perfect place for it. And so it got my gears to turn in to think, ooh, could I do something like that? During the winter months especially, I think this would be super handy. So today, we're gonna be looking at an InstaPot. Now, I did a little bit of a short to show you guys that I picked this up, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work in my van just yet, so we're gonna test it out to see if it will work. And if it does, this could allow me to have some really cool things in my van during the winter months that are just a little bit more cozy. So if this will run off of a power station, then we're gonna take it with me and find out what all I can make in it. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with an InstaPot, it's just a small cooker that you can make a variety of things, from soups to meats to beans and chilies, rice, porridge, and you can even steam your veggies in this thing. This particular one, I'll link it below so you can see a little bit more of the specs of it, but long story short, it's about 700 watts. It also has a warming feature, and supposedly I can even make a cheesecake in this. The top of it just kind of twists off, and as you can see, it has a nice little open close, and it comes open, and inside I can store my cord for it. And then also they have a little steamer rack that comes with the InstaPot. So I'm gonna set the steamer rack kind of to the side today because we're not gonna be using that. And then we're gonna talk about this plug. This is obviously going to be a heavy duty cord that pulls 700 watts at a time. It just plugs into the unit, so it shouldn't be that difficult. I've used an InstaPot here at my base camp before, but having something this size makes sense for the van. It's much smaller than your traditional InstaPot. I would like to say it's probably about a couple inches shorter and a couple inches more narrow than the larger units. And so overall, I believe it's about 3 quarts. Now, of course, in order to test this, I have to have a good recipe. And today I'm gonna be sharing my lasagna soup. Okay, in my skillet, I have about 1/4 pound of beef, and then I have 1 pound of Italian sausage. And then I'm going to be adding in some crushed red pepper, a little bit of Italian seasoning, and a little bit of onion powder. And then I'm gonna put some fresh garlic in there as well. Now, I know it'd be helpful for me to be like, put in this much of these things, but I season with love. And so basically what I do is I start off with a little bit, and then after the meat gets to a cooked place, then I go in and I sample it to see if it needs anything else. I don't like to put any extra salt or anything in there because the sausage is already kind of salty. And then the sauce that I'm going to be using has a little bit of salt also. So I stay away from salt. However, it's going to have a good flavor. And again, I can always add more. But I do suggest at least 1 tablespoon of the fresh garlic. Now, while I'm browning that, I'm going to go ahead and cut up this bell pepper and about half of this onion. Okay, I have my onions and peppers into the InstaPot already. And so now I'm going to go ahead and start breaking down my noodles and putting them in here as well. The noodles I'm using today are just the Berea lasagna noodles. I'll use a few planks of them. I won't need the whole box though. If I was making a family size portion, I could use the whole box in a bigger InstaPot, but this is not all gonna fit in my tiny one. So maybe about half will fit in here. So I'm just gonna break these. Now you can go ahead and put these in a hole if you have a big pot, but I always like to break them anyway because it makes it make more sense. So, just gonna kind of put these in here, and smaller pieces are good because that's gonna be easier. Should be fine just like this. If you don't like lasagna noodles, you can use other noodles for this and just make it a pasta dish, and that's fine. But I like lasagna, so that's why we're making lasagna soup. So for today, I just got some Great Value tomato basil garlic pasta sauce. So we're gonna pour that on top, if I can open it. Oh, score! So I'm just gonna pour it in. just kind of move it around the pan so it kind of covers everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to use one whole jar. Well, we're going to give our meat a nice little stir. And since the meat's almost done, I'm going to add a little tiny bit of paprika to it, just a little bit, just to season it with a little bit more love. We're gonna let this simmer down a little bit more, and then we're gonna go ahead and plug in the Instapot and get it ready to rock. Cord just goes in here at the base, and there's a little puzzle piece so it slides in. While we're waiting on the meat to finish up, I'm gonna add some matchstick carrots into my pot and just kind of sprinkle them around. These will cook down quite a bit. They'll just add a little pop of joy into the bites. So I went to an Italian restaurant once, and they had carrots in their lasagna, and I was like, huh. I never thought about that. And so I decided I would try it once, and it worked out really well. So if you're Italian and you're cringing right now, I'm super sorry. This was just a suggestion that was made by an Italian restaurant, and it was good. So we're going with it. So I'm gonna go in with a healthy amount because I really like them. So one heaping handful. I also am fully aware that I should have made my own sauce, but ideally, yes, in theory, that would be great. But in actuality, because a good sauce takes a long time to simmer, and this is just for the purpose of a demo, I'm not doing that today. But yeah, that probably would have been better. Our pan is currently looking something like this. So I'm just gonna kind of scoop it, get most of it off, and then it goes into the pan. Okay, it's looking like this, and then I went ahead and filled up my pasta jar, my sauce jar, with a little bit of water. Made sure that we get every little bit of that out of there, and so I'm just gonna pour that over like so. And I'm just gonna make sure that I have a nice amount. I may even need a little tiny bit more because it's not quite up to where I want it to be to cover the pasta. Last but not least, I have some ricotta cheese, and we're going to be adding about one big heaping scoop of it. I'm going to add some more of it after we've cooked it, but I do need it in there for the flavor portion of it. So let's go. Should be enough to start with right here. This is a pretty big pot, so I just kind of want to do this. Now I'm going to take my spoon and I'm just going to mix everything in really, really well. Okay, this is a good start. Everything has been mixed in. I brought up some of those onions and peppers from the bottom. And now it's time to put the lid on this, and it should fit just like this and then lock into place. There we go. The big boy all power here with everything plugged in. It is turning on, so that's good. And because this is going to be a soup, it says soup or broth, but this has a meat in it, so we're gonna do a stew, and it gives us less, normal, or more on our pressure points. So I'm just gonna keep it on normal, and then it is on. It is going. Okay, so now I just wait. Over here, we're pulling about 673 watts. It looks like at this rate, if I needed to run this bad boy, I have about an hour's worth of time. So this is going to be a good way for me to tell not only will it work, but how much battery will this thing take. Now, if it's going to take a lot of battery, I need to make sure that I'm going to have enough power to give with my other power units. There's a lot of things that are going to go into this on the planning side of my van, but we're going to see. It's already dropped 2% so far. Not only am I very excited about seeing if this works, but I'm also very excited about the meal because, oh my goodness, it smells fabulous in my house right now, even from just cooking the meat. So cross your fingers, guys. Let's see if this works. Okay, something I'm noticing is we're already dropped down to 78%. This started out fully charged. So this is a lot of power that this thing is pulling pretty consistently. It's still in the 670 watt range. And I still don't have a timer on the Instapot, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Normally on the larger Instapot, it says on until it shows you the time, which means it's still building the pressure. I have it on the normal setting, but it's on the pressure high. And I can definitely hear some things going on inside here. So it is doing something. Okay, something is not completely right with this. So part of the reason why it was taking so much power to pressurize was because this bad boy was not closed. I did not know that I had to push this down also because I thought it was just the button. So that's my bad. I'm gonna clean it up here and then we'll move on. I'd gone out to the van to get something and I came in and it was like hissing. And I was like, oh no, something is wrong. And sure enough, on the other one, on the one that I've previously used, you didn't have to like make sure it was engaged down. It just automatically did it. So maybe now that I've set it up, I will just mental note. I need to make sure that that part is different. I just thought it was kind of weird that it was wobbly, but yeah, that makes more sense now. Makes way more sense now. I will say this, it's still pretty consistently pulling on this, and I think that that literally is because I had a blunder, but a while ago it dropped down to like 580 for a minute, so it's kind of cycling on and off, so good to know, good to know. So I'll just keep letting it go and we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, it's been open the entire time, so that means that it's probably been sitting there trying to pressurize and hasn't been able to because of that, and so I would like to think that that would affect how much battery that it's actually going to pull. So again, I'll just do a basic test to find out, but oh my goodness. Okay, the timer just went off. I can definitely hear some bubbling underneath this. And as of right now, I'm at 64%. So I lost less than half the battery. So that is actually really good. Now, with that said, it says on here that I'm pulling 0 watts currently, even though it is still on, because it's just maintaining the temperature. Now, if I'm in my van, I'm going to put something over this so I don't end up having condensation all in my van. I'm gonna do the same thing here, and I just push this button. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot. In a perfect world, when I'm in the van, I may just pop this outside to vent it. So I'm catching most of the steam, but it does have a little bit that's coming out. Again, I'd probably do this outside, and I am gonna do that other test still, so I'll just kind of follow up with how it worked. Now here comes the fun part, the reveal. I've already loosened the lid. Oh, that looks good. That looks really, really, really good. With this, the lid can sit into its little handle, and then I can get a spatula scoop like this and just kind of scoop. I may need a bigger one. Oh, these noodles are perfect. They're nice and oh, that looks so, so good. So overall, I'm down to 64%, and I have this delicious looking, amazing looking soup option. Oh, this is gonna be so, so hearty and delightful. So here it is. I put a little bit of Parmesan on here. I'm really excited about this. So now here's the big test. I went ahead and made this a little bit more hearty. If I wanted it to be a little bit more soupy, I could use a few less noodles because the noodles do swell up pretty big, but this is gonna be great. And another thing that I like about this is that if I really wanted to make a larger dish, I could make a larger dish and then I could put it into my freezer in little freezer containers so I could heat it up at will so I don't have to eat it back-to-back days. It's pretty warm. Oh my goodness, this is so good though. So is this worth it? Yes. Is this going to be for everyone? Maybe not. You need to have a lot of power to give. So if you have more than one dedicated power station, then you could probably do this. It does need to be at least a 1,000-watt power station for it to work. But oh my goodness, this is so good. Being able to have these flavors together in such a way, in such a shorter amount of time, basically even with primitive ingredients like the Great Value pasta sauce, this tastes like $1,000,000. It's so, so yummy. It is pretty warm, but again. I just ran the identical amount of time. It was the meat and stew for 35 minutes with pressurization, but I made sure this was closed. Bam. It used almost 10% less battery. So this is definitely something that will work for van life. I'm very, very happy about this. And food-wise, I made so much food that I was able to feed myself for at least 4 or 5 different meals just out of this one InstaPot. So if I was cooking for a couple of people, we could do at least 2 full meals, probably for 2 people. No problem. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Thanks for coming along with me as I try out this new thing and see if it works in my van. We're definitely gonna be cooking some more food on the road with this guy. Ooh, all winter long. This is that winter feeling that I needed. Man, this is so, so yummy. I'm gonna finish this and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.